All right, everybody, what is going on? Good afternoon. We've got some more Seahawks stuff to talk about, and we're going to be talking about this upcoming game. I know we're a long way away from a preview. We won't even get an injury report for another like 27, 28 hours, but we can definitely start talking about this game because this game is just so darn important. And I want to talk about one aspect of this game that is very, very crucial and also something that I really need to see a sign of life in because of what happened in the first two games. I'm talking about the pass rush, and I'm talking about the pass rush specifically against this team. So, obviously, the Seahawks have already played the Rams twice this year, and those two games went very differently, but there was one thing that was consistent in both of those games, and it was we couldn't really get a lot of pressure. All right, guys, before we go any further into this video, let's take a minute so I can tell you about my friends over at Sleeper. If you're not using Sleeper this year for daily fantasy, then you are missing out. Download the app and get ready to have more fun with sports this year. Make all kinds of picks on over-unders. Get on over there. Football, baseball, basketball, hockey, whatever your sports fancy is. I've got some picks going for this week, the conference championship games. I got the over on Cooper Kupp, 30.5 receiving yards. I got Ken Walker scoring an anytime touchdown. I got Mevis over on the Rams kicking at least 2 field goals. And I got Drake May with the under on 227 passing yards. So get on over to Sleeper. Use promo code SBN, that is SBN, to get a 100% match on your first deposit up to $100 and go have more fun with sports this year. Okay, so obviously we're not doing Pass Rush Friday today because it's not Friday, and we don't even have the pass rush numbers yet for the 49ers game. But I do want to take a look at my spreadsheet for starters for Pass Rush Friday, specifically the bottom line, the totals. And I want to emphasize something that has been happening with this team in recent weeks. So let's start with September, the first month of the season, the first 4 games of the year. These 4 games that we played, we got good pressure in all, well, collectively as a whole, we got good pressure. We're talking about what, 48 pressures in 4 games. That's 12 pressures a game. Perfectly good, perfectly respectable. You move to the next month, October, where we only played 3 games. We did have the one bad game, but as a whole, our average number of pressures per game actually went up. So you can see that the pressure is holding at a pretty strong level. Now you get to November, and there are some worrying signs. You have 2 games with kind of substandard pressure, but you also have that Titans game where you had almost 30 pressures, and you also had the who do we play? Game number 9. Was this the Cardinals? I think it was the Cardinals. Sorry if I'm wrong about that, but if you take the average of these 4 games that we played in November, it does come out to I think it was like 13 pressures per game. So things are still good. Since then, so basically December plus the start of January. So basically the last 6 games the Seahawks have played. 9, 9, 5, 5, 5, 8. So we're averaging less than 7 pressures per game for the last 6 games we played before the 49ers playoff game. Now, in that 49ers playoff game, we did get a lot of pressure. I don't know exactly how much yet because the numbers aren't out. But a lot of that pressure happened because Brock Purdy was holding onto the ball forever and because he was scrambling around. I don't think that that is going to be something that we can reasonably expect from most other quarterbacks that we might play the rest of this season. I'm mainly talking about Matt Stafford, but even in the Super Bowl, if we get there, Drake May might, but not to the degree of a Brock Purdy. And I don't think that's really Jared Stidham's game either. Although I will admit I don't know much about Jared Stidham, but we're not even really thinking about the Super Bowl yet. We're thinking about this upcoming game against Stafford. We know Stafford doesn't scramble around. We know Stafford doesn't hold onto the ball for an eternity. Stafford gets the ball out quickly. And what have the Seahawks done in games against Stafford so far this year? According to Pro Football Reference, they got 8 pressures in the first game and they got 5 pressures in the second game. Yeah, it's this one. So not good. Like, neither of those results are very good. The first one is understandable because Stafford only dropped back to pass, like, what, 28 times that whole game. The second game is an abomination because he dropped back to pass 51 times. So if you go to Pro Football Focus here and you take a look at the charts and the passing pressure data for those two games, the first game, he drops back to pass 28 times, like I said. And according to PFF, we got 11 pressures. That sounds okay, right? And then you go to the second game, the Week 16 game, he drops back to pass 51 times, and we got pressure on him 22 times. That sounds okay, right? That sounds reasonable. But then you look at the finer points of that pass rushing data, and you quickly learn that the pressure we got on Stafford was pretty much all soft pressure. If you look at the number of quarterback hits, it tells a very different story. In the first game against the Rams, the Seahawks had 3 hits on Stafford the whole game, which, granted, only 28 dropbacks. It's still bad. And then the second game against the Rams, we hit him 4 times, even though he dropped back to pass 51 times. Terrible, awful, untenable. It's honestly kind of amazing that, number one, we played so well defensively in the first game, and number two, that we won this second game. Like, when you get a pass rush this bad, you're not supposed to be producing good results. So we're playing Stafford for a third time this upcoming week, and this strikes me as something that really needs to change. We need to get pressure, and we need to get meaningful pressure. We need to actually hit him. We need to sack him. By the way, in case you don't remember, 0 sacks on Stafford in both games. The first game, no sacks. The second game, 0 sacks. Now, I'm not here to tell you that soft pressure is meaningless, but I am here to tell you that a quarterback like Stafford is capable of making good throws and doing his job even in situations where there is soft pressure. If you really want to disrupt him, you need to hit him, you need to sack him, you need to actually take him out of his game. So this strikes me as one area where the Seahawks were very bad defensively in both games, and this has to get better. And I know that it's been kind of their modus operandi to be not very good in the pass rushing category in recent games. But here's the thing. The Rams, the last 2 games they've played, have played 2 pretty bad pass rushes. The Panthers, they have one of the worst pass rushes in football, and the Bears, their pass rush is not very good either. And both teams were able to pressure Stafford at a pretty good clip. I think he's gotten sacked like 4 or 5 times. I think he's gotten hit many times more than that. So if those teams can get pressure on Stafford, you better be able to get pressure on Stafford. We still have the 4th highest pressure rate in football this year. We're still 8th in sacks. So that's going to come home to roost at some point in this postseason, and namely this game. And look, like I said, this team has proven they don't need to have a great pass rush to play really well defensively. Like, they completely destroyed Carolina in a game where they got no pressure on Bryce Young, and they still threw for like 40 yards. It was laughable how bad their passing attack was. But I don't know if that's going to fly against the Rams more than once. Like, we got away with it one time, and I don't know if we're going to be getting away with it a second time. And here's the thing that is wrapped into all of this that makes this so interesting. So let's talk about Stafford a little bit here. Now, the first thing to understand is, and by the way, I know my head is going to be blocking some of this stuff. Let me move my head up a little bit here so I'm not blocking the data that I want to talk about. But um Matthew Stafford, when he was blitzed in 2025, he was by far the best quarterback in the league. When he was not blitzed, he was not as good. He was good. He was above average, but no longer the best quarterback. So let's take a look at some of these numbers to give you an idea. Now, first of all, obviously, when Stafford is kept clean, his numbers are impeccable. When he's not pressured, which he was not pressured on about 68% of his dropbacks, his QB rating was 119. So that would be the best in football by far. When he was pressured, that number fell down to 83.4 in the regular season. 83.4. That is one of the worst starting quarterbacks in the league at that point. That is in line with, it's a little better than like Joe Flacco. It's a little bit better than Jameis Winston, but it's in that rough area. Now, that's kind of true for most quarterbacks. Most quarterbacks get a lot worse under pressure, so I'm not really talking about that as anything interesting. But here's the thing that's interesting. When Stafford is blitzed, which he was blitzed about 35% of the time during the regular season, his QB rating is 121.2, even better than when he is kept clean overall. 121.2, that would equal some of the great seasons in NFL history by a quarterback. Rodgers in 2011, Brady in 2007, Peyton Manning in 2013. When he's not blitzed, when he is rushed with 4 or less, 99 QB rating, which is still good, but it would be like 12th in the league. So during the regular season, okay, first of all, very basic level, this illustrates how important it is to get pressure on Stafford. You get way fewer big time throws. You get a way higher percentage of turnover worthy plays. You get a much lower completion percentage. He's much less accurate, et cetera, et cetera. Pretty much everything that you would expect. So understand that it's very important to get pressure on Stafford for these reasons. But also, when you blitz him, he eats you alive until these last 2 weeks. If you go to the postseason for Stafford, and look, it's a small sample size. We're talking about 2 games, 2 road games. We're talking about a game where on Sunday where Stafford played honestly a bad game. One of the worst games that he's played as a Ram, and he got away with it because he was very lucky on turnover-worthy plays, and the defense locked in for him. But when we're talking about Stafford so far in the playoffs, first of all, when he's been kept clean, he has a QB rating of 96.6, which is still good. That would be a top 10 QB rating in the league. When he's under pressure so far this postseason, he has been abysmal. 38.1 QB rating, and he's lucky it's not worse. He has 4 turnover-worthy plays when under pressure on 28 snaps where he's been under pressure. So he becomes a giveaway machine when pressured, and he's very lucky that he hasn't given it away a bunch this season. Like, he is getting insane turnover luck right now. But here's the thing. Here's the thing that is kind of tricky to figure out here. When Stafford is not blitzed so far this postseason, he's been okay. Not good, but okay. QB rating 87.2. That normally wouldn't cut it. And again, he's getting lucky with the turnovers. He's got 2 turnover-worthy plays on plays where he's not blitzed. And I think he's turned it over once. When he is blitzed, he has been even worse, though. So suddenly, these last 2 games, when he's been blitzed, and he's been blitzed a decent amount, 36 snaps where he's been blitzed so far this postseason, 40% of his dropbacks, 69.8 QB rating, and 4 turnover-worthy plays, none of which turned into turnovers. So he's been terrible, and he should be much, much worse. So now, after a full regular season of destroying the blitz, Stafford suddenly not doing well against the blitz. Now, is this small sample size? Is this him getting old? Is this the finger? Is this just, I don't know. It could be a few different things. I'm not saying it's definitely that Stafford just forgot how to beat the blitz. Obviously, he beat the blitz to come up with basically the game-winning play against the Bears on Sunday. But things have changed. And things have changed in such a stark way that this now becomes kind of confusing, because one thing that I talked about after that second Rams game where we won, one area where I think the Seahawks really went wrong in that game, which is why they got destroyed defensively and gave up almost 600 yards, they blitzed like crazy in the first 3 quarters. I did a whole video about this. Their blitz rate in the first 3 quarters of that game was 40%, and they were getting annihilated on the blitz, destroyed. It was really, really bad. And for the record, 40% blitz rate is almost double our typical blitz rate, so it kind of came out of nowhere. And then in the fourth quarter and overtime, the Seahawks changed their blitz rate to about 16%, and suddenly they were getting stops. They had 3 straight 3-and-outs. They had 5 straight possessions where the Rams did not score, and then they gave up the touchdown in overtime, but remember, 3 of their starters were hurt in the secondary when that happened. So, it would be kind of weird for me to look at that and then say, "I think we should blitz Stafford more," but the last couple games, man, things have changed. He's actually getting sacked, he's getting hit, he's making mistakes because of the blitz, he's not beating it, he has 0 big-time throws in the postseason against the blitz. It has really, really switched up here, and I think that there's a tough decision to make here. I'm not envious of Mike Macdonald for having to make it, but it's his job to make it and figure out the right buttons to push. If you can get pressure without blitzing, then obviously you don't want to blitz. But if you need to blitz to get pressure, if that's the only way you can find to actually get pressure on Stafford, then you got to take it, because he's shown that he's struggling against it right now. And you've shown that getting pressure via the traditional ways in recent games has not gone so great for you. So, interesting stuff to think about here. I think that there's a few different things you can take away from all this, but the number one to me is that the Stafford we have seen so far this postseason, and I know it's just 2 games, and I know that you read into a 2-game sample size in detail at your own risk. This is not the MVP Stafford we saw in the regular season. I think it could be the finger. I think it could be some other stuff. He's obviously gutting it out right now, but he has not been very good, and he has not been anywhere near as good. He has actually gone from best in the league to very bad against the blitz. But I don't know if that means that we should blitz him. That could backfire very easily, and we can't afford to make mistakes in that game. I don't know if our offense has 38 points in them this time. And yeah, it's just one of those tough things that you got to figure out here. But let me know what you guys think. I just wanted to talk about that for a little bit here, because this is one element of the game that I think is really fascinating. Clearly, you can get pressure on Stafford. The Panthers did it. The Bears did it. We have a much better pass rush than those 2 teams. But the question is not, can you get pressure? The question is, will you get pressure? All right. I'll see you guys later. Go Hawks. Everybody have a good rest of your day. Probably another video or 2 coming later, but let me know what you think about this one.